Hello and welcome to another exciting episode from Marvelous Videos. I'm your host Mystical Blue, and today I'll be taking you through Elixir, Amiga level mutant, Origin Explored. The X-Men franchise has elevated the superhero realm with its manifold of mutants and their compelling tales. However, there's one such guy whose story doesn't really share the same stardom as others. Josh Foley, who is otherwise known as Elixir, easily happens to be one of the most high-powered and gifted mutants to have joined Charles Francis Xavier's X-Mansion. Now, when we say high-powered, we'd like to stress that he can cause disastrous levels of damage to another being just by touching. Don't worry, we'll be getting into the details later. A creation of Nunzio De Philippus, Karen Grant and Christian Ware, the character made his debut in the 5th issue of New Mutants Volume 2 in 2003. In fact, this might surprise you, but Elixir was initially a member of the anti-mutant group known as the Reavers before he joined the X-Men. Wow. This brings us to the main idea behind today's video, where we will not only explore the origins of the character, but also delve deeper into his comic book appearances and shed light on a lot of things that we bet you didn't know about him. Well, without further ado, let us dive right in, shall we? Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Elixir Backstory Explored. Josh was originally a member of the Reavers. Apparently, he had followed the footsteps of his friend Duncan, whom he had known since the 2nd grade. But with the mutant detector, Cerebra, identifying the location of Josh, Daniel, Danny, Moonstar, and Shan were sent to the area to investigate further. While that was happening, the Reavers attacked a few of the Xavier Institute students. Josh was also a part of the Reavers who attacked, and that's when he realised that he was a healer. In other words, his powers manifested when he was able to heal a fellow Reavers. Josh tried his best to hide his powers. After all, he did not want to be addressed as a freak, and went to the whole extent of knocking out the member he healed in the first place. But upon seeing a mortally wounded Laurie Collins, who happened to be one of the Xavier Institute students lying before him, Josh felt compelled to heal her, and he did so successfully. No wonder Laurie developed an instant crush on Josh. Danny, who by then had arrived at the scene, offered Josh an enrollment at the Institute, but he declined right away, stating to her that he would not be attending any mutie school. The Reavers, upon discovering that Josh was a mutant who possessed healing powers, outed him from their group. They also attacked and severely beat him up. Even his parents, after finding out the truth about him, kicked him out of the house. Having nowhere else to go, Josh was left with no choice but to join Xavier Institute. Amongst a horde of students who did not like Josh, and for obvious reasons, may we add, his roommate David Elaine in particular did not fancy him at all. Josh would send back letters back home, filling in his parents about his activities, but by doing that, he only made things worse. His parents ended up giving the school the legal guardianship of their son, thereby completely disowning him. As we move on with the storyline, a depowered Rain Sinclair, more popularly known as Wolfsbane, arrives at the X-Mansion. Josh was utterly smitten by her right away, and even developed this huge crush on her. After Rain was denied a teaching post at the school, and we can blame her impulsiveness and emotional immaturity for that, she came to a bar for a drink. Unbeknownst to her, she was followed there by Josh, and the duo ended up having a heart-to-heart conversation. With Josh displaying signs of understanding Rain's inner struggle, they end up kissing each other. This leads to Josh inadvertently restoring back the powers of Rain, and the latter losing her control and attacking Josh in the process. Had Laurie not intervened in the situation and used her pheromone powers to scare away Rain, it would have certainly been the end of Josh because he was mortally wounded by her. Josh was immediately taken to the Institute's infirmary, but the major problem was that the only other healer apart from Josh was Warren Worthington III, more popularly known as Angel, and he was nowhere to be found. Further, Josh being unconscious, he surely could not heal himself. David realised that Josh would be able to cure himself only if he was awake, and Nori, aka Surge, thought of a way to make Josh conscious just long enough to have him only heal himself. Surge used her abilities and gave Josh a tiny electrical jolt to justly wake him up. Laurie, who was also present, kept him calm enough to make him heal his own wounds. While the group was successful, Josh triggered a secondary mutation that led to his skin and hair turning into this bright metallic gold colour. It was late that night when Danny came to see Josh that she finally disclosed that when his parents decided to give up custody, she signed for his legal guardianship because it was impossible for a school to get custody. Someone had to sign the papers. She also theorised that Josh did not activate any secondary mutation and that he did that to himself because he always wanted to be the golden child around there. Marvellous story arc of Elixir. Joining New Mutant Squad. After the training squads were formed, Josh was assigned to Danny's New Mutant Squad and thus given the name Elixir. Regarding Rain, she tried ending her relationship with Josh because she felt it was not fitting on her part to have a relationship with Josh now that she was on the faculty and actually one of his teachers. But Josh did not want to end things with Rain. Having said that, he at the same time also got romantically involved with Laurie. When Rain made up her mind to end things with Josh once and for all, their whole conversation was overheard by Kevin Ford, more popularly known as Wither. Kevin, who still had feelings for Laurie, made use of the information to break up Josh and Laurie. Of course, Laurie was highly affected when she learned the truth about Josh, and she ended up making use of her pheromone powers to manipulate David and kiss him just to make Josh feel jealous. Laurie's relationship with Josh started mending by itself the day the former's mother visited the school. It was the same day when the mutant blob attacked the institute, and while he knocked down the school gates, one of them landed on Laurie's mother and she was badly hurt. Had Josh not healed her, Laurie's mother would not have survived, and as for Blob, Laurie used her powers to make him sleep. Worried about the future of the team, Sophia Mantenga, more popularly known as Wind Dancer, decided to send all the new mutants to a camp so as to make them solve their petty problems and work with one another. It turned out to be a good decision because by the end of the day, things got better and each had forgiven the other. The Effects of MDay. After MDay occurred, a majority of the world's mutant population lost their powers. In fact, Josh was amongst the 27 students of the Xavier Institute to be left with his powers. Every depowered student, as well as staff, was asked to leave the school for their safety. But with the bus leaving, the vehicle got ambushed by an anti-mutant group. To top things further, the anti-mutant Zalot William Stryker caused the bus to explode, killing about 1/4 of the depowered students from the institute. As for the remaining students at the Xavier Institute, they were put into an all-out brawl by the mutant Emma Frost to decide who would be part of the new X-Men team in training. Of course, Josh made it to the team and started his training to become a part of X-Men. During a sparring session with the Russian mutant Colossus, Josh, who was clearly caught up with his emotions over the slaughter students, ended up striking a depowered Colossus with a metal beam on his head. This resulted in him being kicked out of the team temporarily. Well, if only things ended there, but that was clearly not the case. Laurie was later killed by a bullet that an agent of Stryker fired. A hysterical Josh clinging to Laurie's dead body was discovered by everyone. Wolverine tries to separate Josh from Laurie, but that only leads to Josh's powers getting evolved. Painful boils and blisters started appearing on Wolverine's hands, and Josh was eventually taken inside the infirmary and made to calm down. But to be honest, he became unresponsive. With Stryker attacking the institute, Josh came back to his senses. He was so infuriated at Stryker and over the death of Laurie that he made use of his powers to cause enormous swellings inside Stryker's body, fatally wounding his organs and killing him in the process. However, this turned Josh's skin into a metallic black colour, leaving him in a catatonic state. It was only after the mutant Laura Keeney, or should we address her as X-23, was grievously wounded and badly needed healing that Josh would finally snap out of his catatonic state and heal Laura. This would make his skin come back to his previous metallic gold colour whilst also retaining some black parts. The StepfordCuckoos. Post the death of Laurie, Josh had become different. It would be fair to admit that he had taken a more peaceful approach towards life. He started wearing white and was more than often lost in his own thoughts and imagination. It was right before the other students had been teleported to the other place, which was also known as Limbo, that the StepfordCuckoos aided Josh in making him learn advanced human physiology, anatomy, and biology by telepathically copying information from the mind of beasts into Josh. This actually let Josh use his powers a lot more accurately. He was now capable of doing things that he could not have done before. We'd like to point out towards the incident of how Josh was able to regrow David's heart after Belasco ripped it out. But please note that these also came with a side effect. Josh was able to master his negative abilities, and in this case, black abilities to be more precise. Laurie's death had actually taken a toll on Josh, and when we mentioned before that he had changed, we weren't kidding. There was a time when Catherine Pride attempted to talk to Josh, but the latter simply sat all by himself in the dark. With Catherine asking him what he was up to, Josh told her that he was thinking about both life and death, and how he actually had the power to give it as well as take it. Naturally, this had Catherine worried. To a great extent, that was the exact mindset of Magneto, and it goes without saying that they had no intentions of raising another Magneto. Joining X-Force. Josh was later found healing Rain after she was intentionally given a heroin overdose by the Purifiers, but Rain ended up attacking Josh once again before attacking her real target, Angel, and also ripping out his wings. As for Josh, he next joined X-Force and was transported to the future along with the rest of X-Force by Cyclops so as to bring back the powerful mutant telepath and telekinetic Cable along with Hope Summers. During his stay in the future, Josh would fight a number of battles and also use his power to its fullest. Josh would confront Strife and infect him with cancer. He would next travel to the UN along with Wolverine and Archangel to save the lives of Surge and Helion. Although Josh was mostly successful in his endeavour to save his friends, it took a toll on his powers that he eventually fell into a coma, only to be revived by Hela, the Norse goddess of death. Josh, upon returning with his X-Force team, will teleport to the Republic of Genosha to put an end to the ritualistic activities of Selene and her inner circle. It was also on Genosha that Josh would fight Kevin eventually to the latter's demise. Kevin wanted to kill Josh as he believed that Josh did not love Laurie enough and, therefore, he could not save her. But Josh, upon hearing that, transformed to his metallic black form and stated to Kevin that he always loved Laurie before turning Kevin into dust. What happened next? Josh ultimately quit the X-Force team and decided to stay on Genosha after realising that he was not being able to transform into his previous form. He also discovered later that he could not heal anymore. Amongst the notable events that took place later, Josh became a member of Emma Frost's new Hellfire Club, which was followed by him becoming a member of the Five. For those of you who aren't aware about the Five, they happen to be a group of mutants who were capable of joining forces and resurrect deceased mutants, reviving their bodies along with their powers and memories. How did Elixir earn his status as an Omega level mutant? Elixir sure is deserving of his status as an Omega level mutant. To begin with, he has been a crucial member of the Five, busy bringing back mutants from the dead. Of course, this task is every bit Omega level worthy, and so is the fact that he cured mutants of the legacy virus. It was Elixir's biokinesis which let him heal an individual with any disease. He was successful in curing mutants that were afflicted with Mpox. He literally strengthened the body of Rain so as to make her strong enough to handle an half as guardian baby in her womb. Next comes the fact that he could bring himself back from the dead. Add to this him reviving the whole mutant population of Genosha. If this isn't Omega level worthy, we don't know what else is. Apart from his in-depth knowledge of human anatomy and more significant comprehension of how the human body works, if we are to speak theoretically here, Elixir did possess the ability to alter his own genetic code, and that is solely why he is categorized as an Omega level mutant. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.